Hey everybody, Poker Dad here. So it's been a while since I've done a video. It's been a few days. Just been working on some portions of my mental game and just doing some different things. So right now I'm really actually focusing my attention on global poker, and especially right now I'm playing NL20. I decided to play NL20 because I kind of feel like on global poker NL20 is kind of equivalent to what would be NL2 or even NL5 on ACR. So I'm just focusing playing that right now, and I'm playing two tables. Anyway, what I'm doing here today is I actually did a filter here in Poker Tracker because I wanted to look. I'm working right now studying multiway pots, so I ended up putting in a filter here to study some multiway pots and just take a look and see what's going on in multiway pots and how I could play them better. Because at Global Poker, you're dealing with a lot of multi-way pots. That's to say the least. You're gonna end up with a lot of multi-way pots at the microstakes. So this is the filter which I put in here. That these are all hands that I raised first in, and there's no three betting going on in these hands, and at least three players are seeing the flop. There's no pair. There's no pair on the flop, so you're not going to see a flop that has Jack Jack, Queen Queen, anything like that. And the flop contains at least one Ace, King, or Queen, so it makes it an interesting situation. So let's go through and let's start looking at some situations here. This first particular hand here, which is played at NL4, um, I am dealt Ace Ace here. Um, Actually, if you want, we can actually do this in the replay. Let's do this in the replay. Replay all hands in report. Okay. All right, we'll do it this way instead of going over the actual Word document. And let me. So actually, you see the result there. So we'll actually pass through this hand here. We'll go to the next hand. So here I am dealt ace ace. Now, one thing I want to. This is in NL20, and this here I want to pay attention to where these guys are calling from too. So I kind of put them on a range here. So here I open the betting 3x, which is normal from under the gun, and the button calls and the small blind calls. So the button here versus under the gun is going to have a pretty small range, and so will the big blind here. Um, in fact, if I can actually look at let me take out Flopzilla here for a second. And if I take a look at Flopzilla, and let's just say using a standard uh, micro microstakes range. Let's see. We have here button versus under the gun. I'm looking at hands here like these hands here in yellow. I could see calling the Ace Jack, Ace 10, all these hands, King Queen, King Jack, hands like that. Whereas the big blind versus the under the gun, still very similar, but more of a wider range though, because I mean when you think about it, actually the big blind's actually going to be calling with a lot more hands, just because of the fact that the big blind does have really good pot odds, because of the fact that they have already put in here 10 cents. Add in the fact that I'm sorry, they've already put in 20 cents. So add in the fact that, I have 60 cents, this guy has 60 cents. He's getting great pot odds to call, so he can actually really call with a much larger range. He can call with ace jack suited, all these suited aces here, all these suited kings he can call with if he wants. All these, he can call with all of these hands. He's got a ton of hands he can call. So the big blind really is going to have the largest range here. So we go to the flop, and of course I have the overpair, which is good here. So I think this is definitely a spot. Well, let's see first what the small blind does here. So in the small blind checks. Now the small blind is probably going to have the smallest range of any of us. I mean, I'm going to have a small range, but the small blind is going to have a small range as well, very similar to me. Um, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm kind of screwing up here. I apologize. This is the big blind. So the big blind, of course, has a very big range. Big blind could definitely connect with any piece of this board here. But out of position, I think him checking is probably the right thing to do, unless he has maybe an ace king, which he's probably not going to have here because he would three bet. And same thing with king king and king queen. He wouldn't three bet, but he could definitely check it here. So of course I'm going to bet. And I'm betting $1.20 into $1.90. And I actually think this is a pretty good bet here because I kind of want to protect my hand a little bit with there being a flush draw out there. Um, so of course, if another heart comes out, that's going to put me in a really tough situation here. Um, Now we get a fold from the button, which kind of makes sense again because the button's going to have almost as tight of a range as I am, and the big blind, of course, having such a big range, will call this here. Okay, so now here we go to the turn, and again, this is probably like a really good spot for him here. What he can hit, he could have a set of sevens, he could have a set of sixes, he could have a set of fives, he could even have potentially, I think, he can have 5 6, he could have two pair as well. Plus, he's got all those suited kings that he could have easily have called as well. So, and of course, he still has now a flush draw here, another potential flush draw possibly opening as well. He's got a potential straight when we're talking about him having potentially 8 9 is definitely possible for him here. So this is definitely a much better turn for him than it is for me. And he does bet here, and he bets half pot. Um, so the thing is here with me having aces, I definitely can't fold aces, so I'm gonna have to call the aces here. And now a six comes out. So with a six coming out, of course, I'm not really too worried about any kind of quads or anything like that. There is always a chance he can have a full house or something like that as well. And of course, there is a straight, but at least now we don't have to worry about any kind of flushes or anything like that. So there, I mean, you have to think with this particular board, the way it's kind of rolled out. Um, and he did a half pot bet, which is not a huge bet here. I think there's definitely probably a very good chance that we could take it down here. And I didn't even realize when I mentioned the turn that he actually went all in. So all that analysis for nothing. And he had 4 5, so he took it down. But anyway, the point of this here is on the flop. I think this is definitely a good spot to bet, and I like the bet sizing I did there. Let's see here. We have ace ace, and this is an NL4. So again, I'm under the gun with my ace ace, and we get a call from the button. We get a call from the small blind. So the small blind here versus the under the gun open. It's going to have a really, really small range. These suited aces, a few suited aces, not a ton of them versus the under the gun. Um, maybe these hands here, 9 9 through 7 7, because under the guns you really should be raising a lot here. Now at the micros, a lot of these guys probably aren't going to be raising, but really a lot of those small blind hands should be raising. And here we get a 3 Queen 10. So let's see. So when he checks it here, again, I really think this is a good spot to bet. Now I could actually bet on the lighter side here because of the fact I do have a backdoor nut flush draw. So if I wanted to even just bet, half pot, but I mean, again, 40 cents, I might end up betting. I wouldn't be surprised if I bet 30 here. Yeah, I bet 20 half pot. I like that sizing too because of the fact that we have a backdoor nut flush draw. So we do have outs here. Plus, we get a king and a jack. We could always get a straight as well. That's more of a stretch, but we do have that backdoorish nut flush draw as well if we get two more diamonds out there. So um, we get a call. We get a call from the button. So I mean, the button, of course, could have any number of queens. He could have. I don't think he would have ace queen because I think ace queen he probably would be betting here. Um, I mean, he probably would have been three betting there. He could have something definitely like an ace 10 or something like that. Um, I don't expect him to have a set of threes. I think anyway, hands like that, hands like Queen 10, which is unlikely, kind of unlikely for him to have a Queen 10. I think. Let me look at my range again. I mean, yeah, he could have he could have a Queen 10 suited, but there aren't many combos of Queen 10 suited to the left. Um, so probably very likely he has something like two pair or a set of threes. I don't expect him to have a set of tens, so maybe he has something like an ace 10 is quite possible. Um, you would think you think most times it would be suited. So I mean, yeah, okay, there are three combos of suited ace 10 as well. No, there's actually only two combos of suited ace 10: the hearts and the spades. So. Um, you could always have like a king 10 as possible too, or he could be on a flush draw, which is always possible. And of course, the small blind gets out of the way. So here's another 10. The flush draw is out there. I think it's interesting being out of position now. I think it's probably best that I do check here and kind of get an idea of where he is. And I don't want to really face a check raise. And honestly, if another dominant comes out, I'm in really great shape anyway. So if he checks behind, it might not be the worst thing for me. He bets, but he only min bets. So I mean, obviously we're gonna call any min bet here. Um, and let's see what happens here. Ends up being check check, and so he had 10-9 offsuit. Um, I don't really understand. I don't quite understand his betting here. But yeah, okay. This guy definitely lost a lot of value to say the least. Let's see. Here we are again. Ace ace. Let me get past these ace aces. Let's go to something different. Ace king. Ace jack. All right. Ace jack offsuit. Ace jack offsuit. I raise it up there from the middle position, and we get a call from the button, and we get a call from the big blind. So again, the button and the big blind, except this time we're in the middle position. So these guys are going to open up a little bit more hands than they would have in the versus the under the gun. And let's see, we get king 10-9. So we have a gut shot here, and we have a potential nut flush as well if we can get out a couple of clubs here. So let's see, we get a check here. Now this spot here, I think is actually a perfectly fine bet. I don't think I need to bet too big. I guess I could bet half. I guess I could bet about half pot here, because there are cards that will improve my hand. Obviously any ace comes out, I'm not so worried about it because of the fact that I have the ace of clubs, so we don't worry about potential nut flush draw being out there if another ace comes out, which is great. Obviously, a jack of clubs would kind of suck. I mean, really, I guess we really want to have an ace come out because if a jack comes out, that could make a straight for anybody who has a queen. So maybe this spot is probably better to bet big here. I do bet half pot, and we get a raise from this guy here. So I mean, he could. Let's see. There was no three betting that went on, so we don't think he has tens, or we don't think he has kings. He could definitely have king 10. That's definitely possible from the button. 10-9 is definitely possible from the button, so he could definitely have two pair, and of course he could also have a set of nines as well. And then you get a call here from this guy. So obviously this is a situation that I'm just going to have to fold. I was curious to see what ended up happening in his hand. 10-9. Yeah, so he had 10-9 full house. Made sense that he raised it there with two pairs. Let's go find some different spots. Ace 5 suited. So ace 5 suited here. This is NL4. Let's move this stuff over. So this is NL4. So I'm under the gun. I bump it up 3 big blind. We get a call from the cutoff. So the cutoff, a range that we can have for the cutoff versus under the gun. It's going to look something like this. So we think that would be ace jack, ace 10, hands like this here. Ace queen, king queen, king jack, possible ace queen offsuit, and 6-4, 6-5. And I think any of these hands, so even these ranges I got were like really tight microstakes ranges. Obviously, I think you could have any of these pairs as well. I think he'd be 3 betting 10-10, jack jack, queen queen, king king, ace ace, ace king, ace queen suited hands. He'd probably be 3 betting there. So. and the button calls as well. So we are three ways. Interesting spot here. Um, Backdoor nut flush draw. I can either check or bet this here. Um, yeah, I could either bet it. I think probably the best bet is probably betting. I feel like if I have some kind of a draw, or of course if I have a good hand, I think betting is the best bet just because it gives me an opportunity to win the pot now by both these guys folding if they don't connect to this board in some way. And if anything, at least it knocks out one of the two guys, and then at least I can play heads up on the turn and river. But I do decide to check here, and I probably check because I had enough flush draw. But thinking about it now, I think a bet actually would have been a better play here. And you get a half pot bet from the cutoff, and the big blind, I mean the button calls, and I end up folding. So I really think the bet would have been the best spot for me here, and maybe I get rid of one of these two. Let's see if I can get something. I'm gonna do one more hand. Let me just go something with Jack 10 suited. Let's see. There we go. 5-5. This one should be pretty easy, right? So I am under the gun again, which is going to happen, of course, a lot in these multi-way pots. When I'm raising first, I'm going to be under the gun a lot, because with the people left to act, you're going to have one of the blinds probably call, and then one of the the cutoff of the button. Here I get a raise from the small blind. So this one actually goes four ways. So we get 7 queen 2. I mean, obviously this is pretty bad board for me here. So when it goes checking all around, that makes things a little bit interesting because, well, this guy here, see, the small blinds could have like a weaker queen, but a lot of these guys could be checking the draw as well. And, I notice when these multi-way pots, a lot of these guys will call with a suited connector or even just suited cards. Especially here, this hand is NL4, so queen comes out. So it's an interesting spot for me because now I have a pair of fives, and I could really believe now, check, that none of one of these guys have a queen, so maybe I'm worried about a 7, or if somebody wants to stay in with, something like, 6-6, 8-8, 9-9, because those are the other hands I think that would be, those are the other potential pocket pairs that I believe would be here. We get a check, and let's see, we get a bet here from the, I check, and we get a bet here from the cutoff. So let's see what happens. So these two fold, and I decide to call it. I guess with it being a half pot bet, I guess I can call it here, but I don't know. I mean, because there's so much here that can beat me at this point, just because, like I said, well, I don't think he has sevens. He could have had he could have checked with a weaker queen and now have 3 queens. I don't expect him to have a set of 2s. And of course, he could, like I said, have a pair of 6s, pair of 8s, pair of 9s. So 2 comes out, and now I'm not worried about a set of 2s. But now it just becomes a question. I check here. He bets. What exactly am I beating? The only thing I'm beating is pocket 4s and pocket 3s. I've lost every single thing else. So I would hope to God that I folded here, and I did. So we'll never know what he had, but anyway, I just wanted to do a quick video on multi-way pots. I hope you enjoyed the video, and yeah, I mean, I think this is multi-way pots. I think by far are like one of the most difficult things to deal with, and you face them so often, especially on a site like Global Poker, that it's really good to study multi-way pots and figure out how to play them profitably, because they can be a complete mess at times, just trying to figure out what the hell is going on and what anybody has. So I think I think betting when you have a flush draw, when you have maybe an open-ended straight draw, and of course when you have, I'd say even top pair, even middle pair, depending on your position. And of course, I think position is probably the best. The most important thing here is where are you on the board in relation to your opponent. So of course, if you're in the under the gun and both the blinds call, that's a great spot for you. As opposed to if they say the button is in there and now you're in the middle spot, which the middle spot I think is probably like one of the toughest spots to be in. Anyway, I appreciate you guys watching, and if you have any questions or any comments, please feel free to post below. Until next time, Poker Dad.